We've introduced you to Matt Sullivan. We've introduced you to Matt Sullivan and his book, Can't Knock the Hustle, Inside the Season of Protest, Pandemic, and Progress with the Brooklyn Nets Superstars of Tomorrow. It is available now. He continues to do reporting around the NBA, and he's got 17 sources now saying that, to Rolling Stone, that the NBA Finals were a total clusterfuck when it came to the virus. So that's not the technical term. You go ahead and explain, Matt. Thank you for joining us, what it is that you're reporting here, because it sounds crazy what was happening during the finals with the testing, with the virus, and with, planes full of people around a super spreader event.
Yeah, the last time I was on with you guys, I had actually just gotten a tip following up my kind of last big COVID feature for Rolling Stone that sparked a lot of questions about Kyrie and really everyone around the league trying to have to answer for their vaccination status. And so I started, digging around, investigating, looking at sources in the Bucks. And let me tell you, Dan, if my book and cracking into the Nets organization was like, I don't know, robbing your local Chase branch with a stick-up crew or something, getting into the Bucks org is like breaking into fucking Fort Knox with your bare hands and a smile. But, people started talking, and more I realized it wasn't just Giannis, it was employees, entourages, and despite the best efforts of the NBA, who was concerned, it sounds like the Bucks really got sloppy. And so I started looking into plane records, into local restaurants in Phoenix where the Bucks had sent this second plane, which they had not been doing in their kind of buttoned up COVID protocols throughout. And that seems like there might have been a patient zero on board, and things really spread from there.
What are the most damning details that you were able to pin down? Because this stuff can be tricky no matter how many sources you have.
I think that there were more previously reported cases among they call it tier one staff close to the players than Mike Budenholzer or the NBA had ever let on. And then there was kind of this other circle around them, the entourage crew, if you will. And they appeared to mingle at a restaurant that was technically allowed by somewhat loosened protocols for the finals from the NBA. And Coach Mike Budenholzer, according to a source, even kind of encouraged that behavior. And so there's that. And then just kind of this shocking, almost frightening irony to me is that two other sources said that a medical official on the Bucks, who was kind of in charge of keeping this team COVID-free, tested positive himself. And so that just shows you, I think, not necessarily sloppiness, but just that the virus is always winning, and that really, getting vaccinated is a safe way to avoid that kind of nightmare scenario that was really spreading widespread panic throughout the Bucks org and even the Suns.
Plenty of vaccinated people, though, tested positive as well in your story.
Yeah, but these were breakthrough cases. And I think the unfortunate thing for the NBA, I remember kind of taking off my mask at playoff games, the Bucks in Miami, up here in Brooklyn, and being like, can I do this? But I think everybody was coming out. It was the hot vax summer that everybody was waiting for. But then the Delta variant really started hitting hot in the hot zones of Phoenix and Milwaukee at the same time that the finals were starting there. And while the NBA tried to take some extra precautions, I think the players were kind of sick of this virus. And, we know that not all of those teams were vaccinated, including, it appears, Devin Booker and very possibly Giannis. If you guys want to dig into this, I'm curious what you think. But, we had talked when I was on here before, okay, maybe Giannis isn't vaccinated. And if he isn't, he's got this kind of backslapping, hugging, whisper in the ear relationship with his brother and teammate / paid cheerleader, Thanasis Antetokounmpo. And we know he missed Game 5. And we know that Giannis is really close to him. Now, how on earth could, it appears that he did test negative, Giannis did, according to my reporting. And it appears that the NBA claims that it finished its contact tracing. But that contact tracing, if you dig into it, is really it's like an interagency dragnet between the FBI and the CIA. And it drags out. It takes a long time. And so the finals were inherently ending. I don't know. I don't want to read too much between the lines, but it's entirely possible that contact tracing dragged out. Maybe somebody looks the other way. We're talking about the big business of basketball here, right? Giannis goes out for Game 5 or 6. not only is the future of sports history kind of that ultimate what if, but I think, the big business of basketball sometimes wins. And so these scientists who work for the NBA, these expert epidemiologists, are kind of talking about asterisks now.
Talking about asterisks,
Wow.
how should Giannis? Now you got Stugat's attention. He hasn't been listening to anything you've been saying. Like, honestly,
we're taking away championships,
I've been watching him, and he's been nodding to pretend that he's listening. But it's a move he's been doing to me for 20 years, so I'm fluent in it. He could not tell you a single thing you have said for 5 minutes, Matt. Not one. Like, I'm going to ask
Giannis's brother. The whole thing. Slap on the back.
What is this
story
about? Who is Matt Sullivan? You know nothing.
Matt Sullivan's the guy who told us about Kyrie and Kevin Durant. He's a great writer.
You have been in your phone the entire 5 minutes, but he says asterisk, and all of a sudden,
what?
Stugatz rises up. Should Giannis have been playing in the finals?
There's probably a handful of people who know when Giannis was vaccinated. There's probably a circle of nerds who work for the contact tracing unit of the NBA who know whether he was really in close contact and possibly should have been quarantined. There's another circle of nerds who I was talking to who kind of work as these epidemiological advisors to the NBA. And they literally studied like 200,000 tests from the NBA. The NBA was transparent with the scientific community, not necessarily with fans. And one of these doctors was telling me, like, this is a straight case study out of a textbook with an asterisk, sort of for the entire universe going through the pandemic. But then there's another doctor was walking me through this like forthcoming New England Journal of Medicine study based on this NBA data. And he was saying, if you take, say, Chris Paul, who was vaccinated and had to take 2 games out, he's vaccinated, so he's not a super spreader. You take someone who is unvaccinated, potentially either of the Antetokounmpo brothers, according to the open secrets within their organization, and they become much more both vulnerable to and able to infect people around them. And so I don't know what you consider an asterisk, Stugatz, but if you are scientifically, skirting some of these NBA protocols and out here endangering people in a public health crisis with your quote unquote personal choice, it seems asterisky to me.
I am totally with you. Or you can view it as he was doing what he had to do to win. Winning at all cost.
But that's winning at all costs for the NBA too, right? I mean, they will take those primetime ratings, 12 million people for Game 5, these shots of the Deer District outside. But like, I called just to follow up with the Wisconsin Department of Health, and they say like 800 people are testing positive in the Deer District. Mm-hmm. And so it's this, again, we've talked about this before, this one image of what ESPN wants you to see, what Disney and the NBA and Joe Biden saying these images of pride and dignity outside the Deer District. And then you've got the reality on the inside. And on the inside, the people who cover this stuff stenograph it. Have you heard one of the Bucks beat reporters ask Giannis when he got vaccinated? It's like an Aaron Rodgers situation without the crazy pseudoscience mumbo jumbo. But even Giannis, when he did kind of go on about his vaccine status, which he didn't address till September, he's like questioning the future efficacy of the vaccine. So we let these guys off the hook because we play into the ESPN superstar primetime show, when we should treat these guys as the role models that they could be to unvaccinated people, including a person I talked to on the Bucks in the organization who was unvaccinated and was like, well, if they can get it and they're vaccinated, then why would I get vaccinated?
Why are you dismissing these people as nerds? And what did the nerds give you that you would say are the largest breaches?
Well, I got access to a confidential draft of this New England Journal of Medicine study, which I think the NBA would rather play up as we are pro-science. And meanwhile, the people who were counseling Adam Silver in the middle of this internal crisis are saying, well, the NBA has to do this fine balance. We'll tell them that if you got 8 guys on a roster, you can go ahead and play because you've got your tier 1 mini bubble around the essential staff and players. But at the same time, they got to put on a show, and the show must go on. And the same doctor told me, it's kind of ridiculous that that these guys don't have to set an example. One of the doctors was telling me he was sitting on the couch the other day watching Aaron Rodgers, and he just said, quote, "This fucking moron." And he was saying I told him that Giannis potentially was unvaccinated, which he's looking at these anonymous data points and tests. He has no idea while he's looking at 200,000 tests and putting together this scientific research. And I told him this, and he was like, man, this is just an absolute breakdown of society, of rationale, and of being a role model.
All right, excellent. Stugotz only cares, though. Can we announce? Can we end the segment by putting an asterisk, not an asterisk-y,
right?
Not something, because you just put an asterisk on your asterisk. Yes. I need something more conclusive than that. I need Matt Sullivan with Stugotz to right now announce whether Stugotz in his personal record book is putting or should put an asterisk on the Bucks title last year, because it's a big title for Giannis to have. It erases a whole lot of stuff.
I'm trying to think how it would work if we took the championship away. How do we go about doing that? It would be
like, when the two Oscars got confused by Warren Beatty opening the envelope, we'd have to pull up one of those. I think it takes a beat writer to ask Giannis when he got vaccinated, and it takes,
But does Chris Paul get a title if we do this? That's what I'm wondering.
Why are you asking questions like this is a logical thing?
I need to know it.
This is just you saying stuff.
It's you deciding. I love that he's interviewing Matt Sullivan about what should I think, because I wasn't listening during this.
Unrelated, has anyone in a Duke sweater ever called someone else a nerd?
Good point.
I was not a Cameron crazy, okay, but I did go there. Anyway, I think if Chris Paul is Moonlight, then the Bucks are kind of La La Land, and it did seem, according to my reporting, like they were off a little bit in La La Land, partying a little too hard with their entourage during the finals. Which this virus is really ultimately winning, and I think that's the point of this, and we all got to button up and get vaccinated and get boosted.
Dan, you see the rub here. If I take it away from Giannis, I have to give it to Chris Paul.
Well, what I've seen is that you weren't listening, and then I told everybody you weren't listening. So you've been waiting all your life for when do I get to put an asterisk on something? But because you weren't listening, you threw it back to Matt, and Matt made the mistake of not knowing you at all by going moonlighting and La La Land, as if you would understand what that was, because it's got to be Tango and Cash. Rocky, it's got to be anything with action people in it. So now, do we have an asterisk or not? Because I need a button on this segment. I need to figure out whether or not we can make an announcement, yes or no, Stugotz.
I can't do it. I just can't, because what I'd be doing is giving a title to Chris Paul, and that would ruin my Chris Paul argument. And that's been crafted over 20 years. So, Giannis, keep your title.
All right. I'm sorry, Matt. You're reporting and all your finger wagging at people about getting vaccinated. Go fuck yourself, Matt Sullivan.
Thanks, guys.